I mean, on my end, it still says waiting. There we go. No, it did it. You're no, it works now. It works. You're just your latency is different than mine. Um, it's possible that they can't hear you too. Petrified says you can't hear you too. I'm fine, apparently.
Say something now.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Professor Meg here.
We should be hearable now. We should
The
be
Alex
hearable.
or the Meg.
Okay. Robbie
Alex
Sanger,
and
Richard
sound. Do they, Robbie? Do
Only
they?
Devin. No, the sound should be there now.
But chat might
hopefully.
be catching up. Maybe
Yep,
there's
yep.
a delay.
Can hear Devin. Do they, Robbie? How is Alex and Meg's screen? That's not. That's not. We're not. No. Hello.
Get
No.
out of here.
Yes, that's not a thing. Yes, they can hear us. Okay.
Keep your you keep it.
You know what would be absolutely mind trippy is if I just walked out of my screen to the side and appeared on your guys' screen.
That would be the goal. So, good morning, everyone. Apologies for the delay. We got into a whole bunch of technical issues trying to figure out how we can get all this running from two people in the same location, one person in a different location. Not that we're in the same location at all. Don't you dare. Don't
I'm
you
not
dare.
in the middle.
I know. I can't be in the middle.
Okay,
I could, I guess,
fine.
if I try shifting over. I guess you could be. Nope. I can't.
No, you're
yeah.
in mine. Get out.
Yeah, exactly. Stay away
Get
from me. Stay
out
away
of
from me.
here.
Okay. Devin
I
is
look
too loud.
like we
Is Devin actually
just should
too
have.
loud? Because I can edit him downwards again.
What?
Devin's too loud again. We're gonna make Devin quiet.
No,
One
he's
second.
not. He's just excited. You keep coming into my screen to fix things. It's not.
Devin is quieter now. A drop quieter. I'm sorry. It's a little
No,
harder
it's
to
too
run this
loud.
from here. Anyways,
Oh
good
my
morning,
God.
everyone. Welcome
Brian
to the
says we
weekly
sound far
live.
away.
Devin, no, we don't sound far away, do we really? Alex and Meg sound far away now. No, don't
You guys,
do
I'm
this
right
to me.
here.
Don't do this to me.
Sound
Okay.
a long way away.
No. We make Devin quieter and we do everything else go. So let's figure it out. We're gonna spend a minute figuring it out. If you do have audio differentials, let me know. Whisper, Devin. The other two are super quiet. Okay, Devin, I'm gonna make you even lower. 1 second.
Strawberry
No,
says,
it's okay.
Children, there's room in the back seat for both of you.
Here.
Strawberry,
I'll
we
just
would definitely be the kids fighting in the back seat where
Just
we'd be like,
gonna
he's
whisper.
touching me! He's in my
I'm
spot!
just here, guys.
Okay.
I'm just gonna whisper.
I made Devin even a
I'll
drop
do it.
quieter now. No, you can't
Make
whisper
me
into the.
drop quieter.
Devin, if
What
you
are
whisper
you
into the mic
doing?
like that, it's the worst.
I'm whispering.
Okay, we sound
Oh, no.
muffled. Why do we sound muffled? No!
I am going to do the rest of the stream in interpretive dance
An interpretive dance.
so
that
that I
sounds
don't
wonderful.
have to talk.
Why is it that we sound muffled? Oh, interesting. I'm realizing the potential issue as to
Alright,
why we
guys.
sound muffled. Okay.
Here's
Get your
Blue
act together.
ASMR.
How bad is the audio, I guess, is the question. Can you hear us well or not so much? Because I could try to figure something else out on our end if it's too bad. I'm wondering if it's pulling the same audio from two different sources. Devin, don't you dare.
ASMR.
Don't you dare.
Destinies. The
This is a
prophets
mess.
speak of the angel of death.
Devin, just to be clear, when you whisper
And
into the mic
his-
like that, it's much louder. Anyways, so
Are you telling me when I bring the mic immediately next to my face, it gets louder?
I am saying clearly hearable. Okay, fine, good. Board Game Ramblings, how are you? Good to hear you. Fine, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We'll do this. Next time we'll do more prep around how to actually make this work.
Strawberry is like, it's good enough.
Devin.
good enough.
Yeah, just mute Devin. Honestly, that would do the most part. Just all quiet. Yeah, as long as it's all quiet enough, yeah, speakers
What would you
can
do if I
work.
kicked the foot pedal right now?
I'd be sad.
Okay.
Okay, cool. A bit of reverb. I wonder how that could be. Meg, do you want to slightly lower the audio or drop in the phone? Just the volume.
I don't know how.
No, just your little volume on your phone.
Okay.
Meg,
There-
have you realized that
we go.
Alex, when he's stressed or anxious about something, acts like somebody else when they're on like like insane drugs.
I'm never stressed or anxious, Devin.
He's
Also,
just always on insane drugs.
come on. So, let's go ahead and get this started. In terms of figuring this out, we will figure it out. So, here's the details.
Yeah,
Here's
the reverb is intentional.
the reverb is less intentional. We're so good, so much to do. Hope you're doing great as well. We need to speak soon. Board game round meetings, we definitely need to speak soon. I don't know exactly about what, but I'm always happy to speak. So, this is the weekly live. We're going to go ahead and start the process of getting this up and running, just so we actually can get up and running. Meg, are you okay there?
Yeah, I'm just putting a tissue in my coffee. Everything's...
I can barely hear Devin at all. Now.
My headphone just fell out. Everything's fine.
No.
I only can't hear Devin.
Okay.
So...
We're fine. We're all good. I'm not burning down. I'm not
My
stressed.
ears
I'm
are
not...
too small for these headphones.
Your headphones don't work, so
Well,
no
that's
problem.
all yours.
I know, Alex, that I have to do this now because they can barely hear me. This is on you.
Uh-huh,
This
uh-huh,
is on you.
uh-huh.
I'm gonna have to hold this the whole time for an hour. Do you know how poor my arm strength is?
You guys, it took us one stream to fall apart. We
It's
had
new
one
tech.
good one.
It's new tech. It's issues. So,
I don't
let's
know.
go
Alex,
ahead...
Johannes. Hey man, how's it going?
Yes. We're gonna go ahead and start this off. We're gonna get started with the weekly live.
Can I have a question?
Yes, you can have a question. You have one question.
Is it so far away for a reason?
No, you can move
You
closer.
can read that far away?
I can read that far away. You
Okay.
can't read
I'm
that far
supposed to wear
away?
glasses.
Oh dear lord.
I
Meg.
did bring them with me, but I don't want to.
Meg sounded better when she leaned closer to the computer. Meg, you want to move closer to this
The
microphone here?
computer.
This microphone here.
Dude.
No, they said computer.
You can still hear us?
turn
Yeah,
me
perfect.
up, Alex.
Are we going
no.
through the other?
Meg,
me
here,
up.
I move this closer to
Turn
us
me
a
up.
bit.
Why don't we have the better microphone?
But it's just, I'm not switching the mic now. It's not happening. It's not happening. We're not even trying this.
Can you upgrade my mic? They can barely hear me.
Can you actually not hear Devin? Oh my dear lord.
Oh,
Okay.
you guys.
It is it. Fine. Meg sounds better if she raises her right arm in the air. Alex and these two rock side to side while having his
What do I
stomach.
need to do?
No, that's the other thing. Tapping your...
I'm doing it. I was doing it.
Yeah. The Weekly Live. Welcome aboard. I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. This is...
Professor Meg.
And then over there, the loud person is...
I'm Devin.
Devin Talks Tabletop.
Devin.
We are going to... This is
I'm
definitely a
Devin.
chaos stream. We're going to go ahead and dive into this Weekly Live, because we do technically have a format. Not that it's being followed in the slightest this week. There's also no particular time frame, because we already started late, and things have not gone... I'd say they've gone well, but not according to plan, which arguably is more well, but a little more stressful on me, personally, who likes plans and things the way they are supposed to be. Go ahead, Meg.
This would be a great time to remind you all to make sure to like this video. If you are enjoying the Chaos Stream, you can hit that like button so that we know what you enjoy.
Like and subscribe.
I do
and
like
make
the
sure to
idea
follow-
of this being called the Chaos Stream. I like that.
Devin, that's what our Twitch stream is called. It's called
Yeah,
the Chaos Stream.
You should have seen last night.
Is it?
Yes.
Here, I'll hit the
Oh,
like
I didn't
button.
know that.
Technically, it's called the Chaos Stream, but that's an inside joke. You have to be like hardcore camp co-op in order to follow the Chaos Stream.
Yeah, all of our campers, shout out in chat if you're a camper.
Yes. In any case, to that end, we're going to go ahead and we're going to figure out the details. So,
May I introduce you to a new game, Technical Audio Management, Complexity 5.
Complexity 5, I'm going to rate that game a 2.1. We have a room and board on board. Yes, Devin. Give me that AMSMR. Hello, room and board. How you doing, Chris?
Hello.
We'll make room for you if you want to hop over here. Cannot hear Alex. Probably needs to rock side to side. I will mess you up, Intrepid Fuel. I will mess you up.
To
so that-
I'm
be
sorry, can you talk a
fair,
little
to be
slower?
fair, because of the latency difference, like I don't think in your stream settings you're on ultra low latency to where it's so like there is a difference between the audio that they are here or like where we are in the stream and what they're seeing.
Yes.
Is
So like
this what
I
Mansplaining
think
feels
like we have.
You do it
Are
in
you
English?
kidding? Coming
fun.
from you? Coming from you? Oh!
Anyways, so to that end, let's go ahead and dive
Oh,
into this.
petrified.
This is the Weekly Live. We do technically have a format. We don't have a name yet. The Weekly Live is the tentative placeholder name. The other name that has been debated but isn't quite yet adopted is the Meg and Alex in the morning. And Devin. That's
And
the other
Devin.
name that we settled on. But we may or may not settle on that. We'll figure that out. But what we are doing is we are starting this off with Devin. Do you want to take us away with your game of the week? Because this is the section that we talk about a game that we want to talk about for any particular reason. And Devin, it's to
Is
you.
that true? Or I thought it was just a topic, not a game.
No, a game. You have not prepared this week. It's a game. The
It's
first
it's
topic
we
is
talk
any
about a
game.
game, whether we play just any game that we
Oh,
want to
you're
talk
right,
about.
you're
The
right.
next
No, I
one
just
is
forgot.
the
No, I
wild
just
card
forgot.
topics. I was like, what is she doing right now?
No, I completely forgot.
Sure. Hey, Chris, I love you. Hope you have a good time at work. So anyway,
Just see Chris.
I'll talk about my game. My game is actually Alex's fault because on Board Game Co. we are trying to push into having some level of coverage and playing of RPGs, and so Alex, his kind self, pointed me towards an RPG called City of Mist, and I was doing some research on this game. And Alex and I are very big fans. Meg, I'm not excluding you. I just haven't heard you talk about this. Alex and I have talked about this. Alex and I are big fans of The Boys, and so I like content in the superhero genre that is like darker,
Gritty.
not like unblemished heroes, and has like a lot more like human realism to the messiness of what that would be. And this is a little bit more fantastical or mythical than The Boys. It's not as like purely just gritty, seedy alleyway kind of superhero world. But the City of Mist is an RPG system that I am now kind of like very curious about because it just seems so interesting. Like it's called the City of Mist because like this little descriptor here that I've pulled up is in this city anyone could be a legend in disguise. King Arthur, Alice in Wonderland, or Talloc, the Aztec rain god, and they live within regular people. The mythical is real, but no one can remember it because millions of oblivious people are in the city and they think it's ordinary, but the legendary are kind of like skulking behind this mail of the abyss. So it's kind of like this. You know how like in Harry Potter, like Muggles just a lot of them don't even know that that magic is real. So it's kind of like that, but like in this crazy like superhero and fairy tale and mythical like smorgasbord. So I'm super interested in checking out City of Mist. So that's mine for sure.
That actually sounds pretty cool because I know that I sent it over to you to take a look at, but I'm not an RPG. Like RPGs to me always look intriguing. They always look compelling. But like I don't play them, so to me they're hypothetical ideas that don't actually get executed on, which makes it harder for me to be excited about them. But at a surface level, the City Mist looked cool, but they all look cool. Your description actually has me more interested than I was before, which was little, but now medium.
I love getting you to medium. That just excites
That's
me.
the goal. That's the target level. That's what I've been trying to do with your audio the whole day. Anyways.
That sounds really cool, though. I'm very interested. Immediately, I'm like, who would I want to eat?
I mean, I have to take a look. I don't know. I am curious about that aspect. It's like The Boys is a fantastic show and a fantastic reference point. The question is, what kind of hero or anti-hero are you trying to be behind the scenes? And I don't know, even power-wise, what power... If you could have one... This is a stupid, boring question, but it's done before. But if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Devin, do you want to answer first? Because I've had the same answer since I was like a child.
I'm trying to remember who I had a conversation with about this. I had a conversation about this recently. And so I always used to be like, I think I used to, when I was younger, always picked invisibility. I have picked a new superpower, and it is the ability to consume any amount of food, anytime, any type, and never have it affect your body.
Oh.
Honestly, makes my answer feel kind of lame now. I like your answer much better.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
I was like, the idea of just eating anything and everything whenever I want and it never having any impact on like my health. I was like, that sounds amazing.
That makes me think you could even like be eating things that aren't food to like mitigate issues, like eating a bomb or eating like something crazy.
You just made it an actual superpower.
Yeah.
As opposed to what you just did.
Yeah, that is also how I meant it. I meant it in a humanitarian and selfless way. I was like altruistic with it, but also I guess you could just eat really good food all the time. But yeah, I meant consume bombs physically.
So,
Now, Devin, would that mean that alcohol wouldn't affect you? Uh-oh.
No, so the when someone asked me that, I was like, the thing that I said is I was like, you could essentially accept whether you wanted something to affect you or not.
Okay.
Like for example, if you were trying to eat food to make yourself like get leaner and more muscular, like you could allow that like body process, but essentially control over how stuff that you consume affects you.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So my answer has always been, I think growing up, whenever this question comes up, the two most common answers given are invisibility and
Flying.
flight. And flight was the one that always resonated with me. I don't need laser eyes to blow someone up. I don't need to be invisible. Trust me, in middle school I already was. And I don't need any of these other aspects of whatever superhero powers there are.
He says to 80 people live watching him.
I said
today.
in middle school. In middle school. It's okay when whatever. So,
Flustered
jokes I
Alex
had
is
when
my
Devin-
favorite.
but yeah, flying to me, despite the fact that you could pick from all these other aspects, freezing people, fireballs, who knows whatever superpowers there are, mind control, Professor X, all these options, titanium claws from your arms, all these things are very cool.
Adamantium.
That's the one. No, that was
Are
Wolverine's
you
power. I'm talking about my power. What are you talking about?
Sure.
talking
Good
about?
recovery. Good
Anyways,
recovery.
for me, flying was always the one that did, like, the idea of flying through the air just seems so freaking cool. The idea of just that level of just jumping around doing whatever just seems so freaking cool. Yeah.
That is interesting. I have always said I would want Shadowcat's power to be able to phase through things. I would want to be able to phase through anything, have things not affect me, to be able to, not just, like, go through things in rooms, but if something was coming at me, I could, like, instantly not have it hit me. And I would always argue, because I would have friends and we would talk about superhero powers, and I would always argue I might not ever win a battle, but I would never lose.
That's fair. Wait,
That sounds
doesn't
Also
Kitty
defense.
Pryde do that? I know
Yeah.
that Kitty Pryde's like basic thing is people are like, oh, she runs through walls, but she could
Yes,
like the
that's,
nature of that is she can phase through stuff, right?
that's Shadowcat, yeah.
Bye,
Oh, wait, Kitty Pryde,
Come
that's
on,
Shadowcat?
Yeah, that's like, how there's like Wolverine and his name is Logan? Kitty Pryde is Shadowcat. And she also has Lockheed, a little purple dragon. So,
What
That's
was
what I
that
would do.
accent, and what did you just say?
She has Lockheed, the little purple dragon.
a
Did you not
dragon!
back Marvel
Little
United?
dragon!
Yes, no, I didn't. You sent it.
That's right. Did you not open Marvel United? There's a little purple
I
dragon
haven't-
somewhere there. I think.
I
I'm pretty
have
sure Lockheed's
I have
in
the
there.
rest of it that I need to bring to over
So,
to the
Tim,
studio
I believe
so
it's
that I
that you
can
choose
organize
what
all
you
of
want
it.
to phase.
It's like
so,
Devin's eating power.
Yeah, it's optional.
It's optional.
That your
Yeah.
clothes stay with you. But there was one part in one of the X-Men cartoons where Kitty was brushing her teeth and running to class, and she ran through Beast, and she left her toothbrush inside of him.
Just
So
as
he was
someone
like,
who
all of a sudden like, oh my god, and she was like, oops, and yoinked it back out of him.
Yeah, that's fun.
I would do that all the time.
Anyways, so now we've covered the superhero stuff, but I think from there, that was actually what we're trying to remember what we're doing next, and so off filter today.
Hi.
that
welcome
was
to
my
the stream.
game. You guys have two other games you're supposed to talk about.
Yes, exactly. So my game. Well, Devin, what's your game?
Devin, what's Meg's game?
Devin, what's Meg's game? Meg, what's your game?
Meg's game is.
Guys, I'm using Alex's headphones, and that's why it keeps falling out of my ear. His ears are huge, apparently, and my little baby ears can't keep these headphones in.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about Vagrant Song. Vagrant Song is a game that I've been
Ooh.
playing all year, but I dropped it for a while, stopped playing it, and I picked it up very recently. And it's a co-op game. We play a lot of co-op games. I don't play this one with Alex, but it's very challenging, and it is very mean. And you get these things called wounds, and then at the end of the scenario, you have coins, and you can use the coins to do anything, like get extra stuff, perform seances, bank them, but you need them to heal. And recently we've been using so many to heal because we get so many wounds that we're still winning the scenarios, but it is so challenging that it's been sticking with me in my mind that I think that we are playing well. I don't think it's like an issue of like we're not understanding how to play or get through the board, but it's just one of the more challenging co-op games that I'm really enjoying that aspect.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Vagrant Song, I played maybe 5 or 6. I'm trying to remember how far I went into the campaign, but I remember playing through it and getting those coins and being able to use them for all the upgrades and the cars and the abilities. And I don't ever think I got to a point far enough into it where I really needed to heal all that much. I used them for a few things there, but not a ton in that sense. But that's interesting. I mean, Vagrant Song is very well done in terms of the theme and the what's. The
I
name
love
of
that Chris George likes us enough that he hasn't actually left yet.
That's awesome. Chris George is a what's it called? Oh my good lord. Anyways, what's it
I
called?
love you, Chris.
So Vagrant Song was always fun, and it had like some of the characters are haunting in the way they do them. Like there's that like the second character you face off against, I think is, or maybe the third, I can't remember, is like that baggy shape shifting clothes thingy that's just like a wobbling
Yeah.
clothes.
Spoiler alert, we
Yeah.
just did a boss battle. We beat an entire story arc, and I'm gonna say a minor spoiler, guys. I hope you don't mind, but we were fighting this Haint, and he has a bunch of limbs, and you end up finding out that like they're all limbs he's taken from other people.
Yeah,
It's
that's
upsetting.
intense.
Yeah. It's very cool though that we've gotten to the point where things that happened earlier in the game are now affecting future battles. And a lot of games do that, but I really like how Vagrant Song is doing it, that depending on what choices you make, other people will show up later and either like help or hurt you, and it changes the game. That
Yeah, because it has an
How
interesting
many
arc where you kind of
scenarios are you
experience
guys
the same
in?
things, but you choose the order in which you experience them.
I've played 9. Because we started with one story arc,
okay.
and then it kicked us over to another, and then we just finished that whole story arc. So now we're going back into where we branched from.
And Devin, you played. the game,
When
right?
I was up in Cleveland, yeah, so I was playing it with like the Quack crew. So I was playing it with like me, Shira, Jesse, and West, and we played, I think, like straight in one day, like 4 full scenarios, and kind of by the time I got done with it, I was like, I had to stop because I was like, I really like this game, but I hate it at 4 players.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't
because-
like it at 4 at all. I don't think I've.
Because it takes so long to get back to your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure the Haint acts after each character.
Yes.
So
They
it's
do,
like,
and that's another part that I think is really challenging, though, that I really love, is that they do get so many actions.
yeah.
I agree with what you're saying with too many players, that's tough, but it is
Yeah.
cool that
So
they get
I was
an
like,
action
I
every time
think
they get
this
one.
is, to me, I was like, I think Vagrant Song is really cool. A lot of unique things to it. I love the art. I love the aesthetic. I love a lot of things about it. But I was like, to me, it's kind of the same way that I am with like Chip Theory Games titles. I'm like, this is a specific player count, and I
Yes.
do not care. Like it is like a 2-player game.
Yeah, like
I was like, I do not.
Game. I agree.
That's a really good point, though, too, because you unlock different stuff depending on how many people you have. You get these coins to spend at the end, so you have less players. Though when we started playing, we were only playing 2 characters, and I want to say
Yeah.
by like scenario 3, we both have 2 characters now, so we are playing like 4-player. And something
Yeah.
that's challenging about that is keeping track of who took a turn, because we have the 4 different vagrants, and where the Haint gets an action every single time, it's kind of hard to keep track of whose turn it is next.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a
And
code
that
for
was
that
another
character,
thing
or
too,
not really?
because it
No.
has
Hmm.
because it's got that turn order, like the turn rank, like the round marker, and because on that round marker there are sometimes events that will go off, and then because sometimes you'll have your character and maybe they'll spark an event and maybe the Haint will react, but then the Haint has to have their turn and then the next character has to go. That was another thing, like with 4 full players, it was like, did you go first this turn? And it was like,
Exactly.
or did you go last turn? And it was like, and so it's like, but doing that, and then, like going across each person, like it may be 15 minutes of gameplay before your character plays again.
And I think
And so I was like, I really liked it, but I was like, I want to stop playing it to not like have the player count we're at and what's happening because of that ruin my experience with it.
yeah, because the thing you're kind of getting at, Devin, is that you get to choose the round order. So every
Yeah.
round you can choose who goes when. So say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, you could have them go like that, and then 4, 2, 3, 1, and then after that, like, so whoever goes last can also go first, and then you can really just get lost in who went when.
Who are your characters, Meg? Who are you playing as?
I am playing as the Empress and the.
I was wondering if you'd
Conspirator.
play as, I was wondering if you'd play as her.
Oh yeah.
I thought you would like the idea of the exploding dice.
Yeah, so in it, if you roll a 6, you get to roll again,
Double,
and she
yeah.
gets to roll an
She gets 2.
extra one.
Yeah.
I did an attack the last time we played that was only 1 die, and I got 5 successes on it because I kept rolling 6s.
Holy,
It was
that's
awesome.
crazy. And who was the other one besides the Empress?
The Curse Bearer.
Ah, she was mine.
She's
I
cool.
like her. I
Yeah.
like her.
She's dangerous.
She's
but
like a
she
glass.
gets
She's
hurt
like a
bit,
glass
but-
cannon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she comes in and shanks you.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Alex. What's your game?
For me, the game I picked is one that Devin's actually played. I don't believe you have, but I believe it is in the plans for this week. But Tiny Turbo Cars from Horrible Guild.
I
Yeah.
just unboxed this yesterday.
Ooh.
It's a really. Have you played it in the physical form yet?
I haven't got to play it with the physical controller yet. Is
So
it
Tiny
fun?
Turbo Cars is a game from Horrible Guild, and
I
they
love them
basically
so much.
they made a game that called Tiny Turbo Cars. Obviously, that's the name. That's whatever. And the game basically involves you racing. It's a racing game in which you have these little controllers, and you might remember those little puzzles you had as a kid where you have to like shift around different things to make a picture. You kind of have a controller along those lines where you're shifting around the order. Just everything, you only move once. You only move one thing at a time. So you're trying to make this pattern, and then whoever's done first gets to go first. And there's a little bit of a race to try to create your pattern first. So it's a little bit of programming with a degree of using a controller toy to get that going. Devin and I had the opportunity to play it on TTS doing the original Kickstarter campaign. And it's since arrived at my house, and I've since played it in the physical form, and it is just as good, if not better, in the physical form in terms of just that puzzle of trying to rapidly program your car. So it's got that party aspect where it's like a little bit like a chaos and just trying to make things happen with a degree of actual tactical strategy, because you are trying to go through that programming mechanism. You're trying to set your car up for the right order. The problem is, if you end up going first, Meg, then my car had this perfectly planned option of going forward 2, left 1, and even if I got that perfectly, if you got there perfectly first, you're now in my way. And now I hit the wall. And as soon as I hit the wall, the rest of my 7 things that I was planning on are all screwed up now. And so you find yourself skidding around carpets, turning left and right, wandering into a puddle of water, smashing into a wall, getting stuck on wherever, and it just has a degree of chaos around a very fun racing game that plays in roughly 35 to 45 minutes. Like, it's very quick moving as far as the game goes.
Yeah.
Very accessible and just a lot of fun.
That was like a very weird month in which you and I on TTS, we played both Tiny Turbo Cars and Death Roads All Stars,
Yep.
which are both racing games
Yep.
and both have a certain level of programming, but are very, very different. And I enjoyed each of them a lot for completely different reasons.
Didn't you actually play that from my house, like upstairs?
Tiny Turbo Cars?
Yeah.
No, I think that was Jan.
Was
I think
it?
Jan was
Oh,
here.
possibly. Interesting. Okay, I remember trying to get someone set up.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think I played it remote.
Gotcha. Cool. But yeah, Tiny Turbo Cars. The physical version holds up. We'll be diving into it more this weekend. But it's a.
Yeah.
Have you played any racing games, Mac?
No, I don't think really.
Interesting. What other racing games are there? There's Formula D. There's Formula
the
Day.
unicorn
There's Unicorn one. Yeah, Unicorn Fever. You play that one?
No, but I know it.
It's honestly. Go ahead.
No, you go. I will not interrupt.
Unicorn Fever is a fun game, but it's a little. I think the theme that they rethemed it around really doesn't work. It makes the game. I think it's a really good game that I just can't take seriously because of how they implemented it. And so I've enjoyed playing Unicorn Fever, but it's the kind of game where I enjoyed it and never want to play it at the same time. Both things are true. I really like it. I have a lot of fun, and I don't have an interest in playing it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I do. Have you tried the Rallyman from Holy Grail Games at all?
Rallyman. I have not tried Rallyman, but I do like Holy Grail games, so I plan on playing Rallyman.
Yeah. So, because they have Rallyman, and then the new one that they have coming out is Rallyman Dirt, which I think it is a partnership with the IP of the Dirt video game series. I think.
I don't know if that's true, only because I believe
it visually looks similar.
Rallyman and Rallyman Dirt were original games that were out for quite some time, and Holy Grail Games reprinted them and made some rules changes. So unless the original Rallyman Dirt was a partnership with Rallyman Dirt, the video games, then I think it's just a reprint.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But anyways, fine. So I guess Meg will be playing her first racing game this week. So we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited to play Tiny Turbos in person.
Sean Mark says Cubitos is a racing game as well. That's one I've never played, but I think I asked last time I was here, and we just didn't have time.
We should play Cubitos.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play that one, but I've never been able to.
What if, so just based off of what you guys have said in the past when I've heard Alex and other people review it, isn't Rolling Heights better?
Rolling Heights is better to me, but it's also not a racing game, which is the current conversation. Yes.
Yeah,
So
but
let's play
what
them
if we
all.
race to win? Let's play them all.
Oh.
If
I don't need to
racing win
sleep.
counted, Devin, I think Meg's played a few racing games.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, we asked racing game, and I don't think this is a betting game, not a racing game, but I've played a lot of Ready, Set, Bet.
Ready, set, bet?
Ready, set, bet.
Oh, that's a... It's not
betting.
really, yeah, it's more of a betting game. You're not
Yeah.
really racing, you're kind of just
It's like
watching
an
other
odds.
things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
love that
also
one.
know what you guys are talking about and I'm part of the conversation.
that's what I'm talking about. It's okay, you can talk about Cascadia if you're ever stuck.
It's Cascadia.
It is
Anyways.
Cascadia.
With that, we'll go ahead and move on to our Kickstarter segment of the week. And for me, I'm going to be talking about, and Kickstarter segments is really just an interruption between segments, so we'll have another Kickstarter later in today's show. But I want to talk about Unconscious Mind. Unconscious Mind from Fantasia Games, because there's a whole bunch of games on Kickstarter to currently talk about that I'm excited about in all kinds of different ways. But particularly Unconscious Mind is really, really good. I mean, a lot of these are really good, but it's from Fantasia Games, who did Endless Winter. And it has this meshing of mechanics that is overwhelming to pick up and learn at first because of how many things are interweaving. You're playing as therapists effectively. So you're trying to heal patients, so to speak. They can't call them patients, they have to call them clients because this is before the medicine was accepted and all that, but you're trying to deal with these patients and heal their problems, and so you're doing that through a resource collection engine where thematically it's a little bit of a disconnect because you're collecting certain resources to heal them, but think of it as experience in those areas, although the part, again, that's the thematic disconnect is you then have to lose that experience at times to heal them. So whatever, there's some degree of a buying into the theme. But past that, the other aspects are very interwoven very nicely. It's worker placement, but when you place a worker, what effectively happens is that you're placing a worker on a certain row, and that row will trigger your own personal board to move a certain amount, at which point you'll trigger the bonuses that you've earned for that personal board. So the game has a whole chain of trying to constantly earn bonuses to build up your tableau and then time things around how you activate and place a worker so that everything triggers and chains in the perfect way. It's beautiful to look at. Production of even the prototype was insane. It feels absolutely incredible. Like, I loved Endless Winter, and it's too early to say this. It's very too early to say this, but currently I like Unconscious Mind more than Endless Winter. I say it's too early to say this because new and fresh things, when they're good, do feel that way.
You are so cold to the new.
I am, but that's what I'm saying. I'm giving caveats. I'm saying I need a year to go by and 10 more plays before I can say that still. But I do think it's better than Endless Winter. I think it will, to me at least, I think it'll hold up better. And I like both of them a lot for very different ways. But it has, like, I loved Encyclopedia from Holy Grail Games. Speaking of Holy Grail Games, I loved Encyclopedia from them. And it feels like Encyclopedia to me. It has this chaining of just everything just makes you feel good as you play it, which
it's high praise.
It's high praise. High praise, yes.
No, I mean, but you and I gushed about Encyclopedia while and immediately after playing it for the very first time.
Encyclopedia
and
is a game
I really
continue to play the prototype. The prototype is one of the few prototypes that I pull out every month and a half and play it. I don't do a lot of prototypes.
Yeah. No, super solid. I'm super intrigued by this. Endless Winter, I enjoyed that a lot when I played with you guys last week. I really, really liked it. And I have since, unboxed it and kind of organized everything into the big box. And I really like the idea of getting more plays in on that game. But it also immediately just made me go, okay, there are certain games where after I play them, regardless of what type of game it is, when I play it and I have a really good experience with it, I'm like, oh, this is a publisher to watch and just to be mindful of. And speaking of Tiny Turbo Cars, Horrible Guild is one of those publishers for me. I'm like, every one of their games is nothing alike, but they're all Horrible Guild games, and I always want to pay attention to them. And I feel the same way about Ivy Studios and some other companies out there like Orange Nebula. And definitely after playing Endless Winter and just seeing, before you even said that, looking at Unconscious Mind, just the little bit that I saw, I was like, this looks freaking cool.
It's really good. It's really good. And keep in mind, I'm not always there are many games a good example would be Cope and Dying City, for example, from Holy Grail Games. I really enjoy that, but I don't enjoy as much Encyclopedia. Meaning, I absolutely do fall in love with certain games, but I am selective about the games I fall in love with, and Unconscious Mind definitely hits that note for me. But anyways, that's mine, which means we're moving on to topic of the week, and I think this time we'll start with Meg.
Topic. So I had a different topic of the week, but what you were just saying made me think of something that I think might be more fun, so I'll save my current topic. You just said it's one of the prototypes that you would pull out and replay, and that made me think of something. So the three of us are content creators. We get prototypes pretty often. I wanted to ask
you guys do.
Do you get prototypes?
I was thinking of making a joke.
No.
When she said fears of content creators, I'm going to be the two of us.
Anyway, I gotta go. So
That's okay. Remember how Devin said when he was younger he wanted to be invisible? Explain to us.
Oh no. Should I just do my other topic?
Stick with it. Go with it.
I was just gonna ask, what games are prototypes that you do still pull out, and
Alex.
games that you replay that aren't final versions, but it's something that because you enjoyed it so much that you'll still go back to a prototype version to play. For me, there's only one.
Oh, interesting. For me, I was gonna say there's probably 2. I thought you'd have more because you keep prototypes.
I know. I know. I keep them. I just keep them.
So there's a bunch of games that I've had prototypes of that I've gone back to like once or something like that. That happens occasionally. Like I remember Core Quest is one I dove back into once. Fall Mountain King I dove back into once. Game prototypes that I dive back into after coverage and do so on a regular basis. I think there's only 2 I can think of. And those 2 are Encyclopedia, which I just mentioned, and then Mythic Mischief from IV Games. I think those are the only 2 prototypes that I have consistently dived into multiple times and kept it on my collection shelf and not like my other prototypes or whatever managing shelf. I think those are the only 2 for me.
Well, Alex, I'm about to call you out as a liar because mine is Mythic Mischief, and it's at my house.
Yes, I don't say I do it now. I pulled it out.
You have.
You got my prototype when I got the final game.
That is probably the most played prototype
Yeah.
in content creation history then.
You got mine after I got the final game. I need a final game first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's mine as well as Mythic Mischief. I really enjoy that game. I absolutely love it. It's something that Alex showed me and now I play at home. It's a fun puzzle, but also I'm like a huge aesthetic person that I love the art of the different classes.
Factions, schools.
I said classes because it's schools. Yeah.
Cliques. Let's go with cliques.
The different groups, and the minis are really fun. My minis are all broken, mostly because they are prototype. Well,
No,
mostly.
not because they're prototype. Because Alex doesn't have a lot of regard for prototypes.
Yeah, I had Alex's version.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say I really love pulling that one out and playing it. The only other prototype I would say I've played after coverage was Trailblazer.
Oh,
That
nice.
one I've pulled out too, but not often,
Yeah.
and now it's leaving.
It's leaving.
It was in
My
the rules changed.
Cool.
The board changed. Sorry,
my
Devin.
prototype, which no, you're totally fine. Are you kidding me? I interrupt people all the time, so I'm happy to have it happen back to me.
It's probably that whole not wanting to be invisible thing.
That was. I didn't want to interrupt things any more than I already had, but I really loved that chain of 2 comments. Anyways, prototype for me, I do not physically have it anymore, and I was upset at myself for trying to be like a good person and like give it back and say that I had it. The one that I would absolutely have been playing if I still had it is Six Siege, the board game. Like that game was like it had like pretty good miniatures that were there, but it was like there were things that were rough about it as a prototype like usually is, but I loved that game so much, and like part of it is because I have such an ardent like fandom from the game. Like I've played the video game like over 700 hours or something like that. Like I've played the video game a lot, and so I love it, but also I am a big fan of long, like protracted 2-player experiences like Star Wars Rebellion and stuff like that. And so 2-player head-to-heads where you're just really trying to really get into the head of the other player and create a strategy that is impervious to most of their planning and that unseats whatever strategy they've come up with is so much fun to me. Like I absolutely love it. And that was so to me, that is Mythic's best game that they've come out with. Like I haven't played as many of their titles as like Alex or Jesse or someone else that I know has like been covering their catalog for a long time. But like to me, like that is just hands down their best design. I love it. And I just had so much fun playing that prototype. Like, I would have played so much more with that if I hadn't have been like, hey, I have this. Do you need this? And they're like, oh, yes, we absolutely need that for the next convention. We didn't know where that was. And I was like, I have it. I'll give it back. I'm sorry.
It's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, that was Mythwind for me.
It's a rookie mistake.
I don't think you enjoyed Mythwind, but I did.
You played Mythwind?
Yes,
And
we've
you
talked
liked
about
it?
this. We've talked about this.
I can't believe
We've had this discussion.
I can understand why I forgot it.
I had the Mythwind prototype, and they ended up asking for it back, and it was one that I was like, I really don't want to send this back to you, but I guess I will, but I want to keep it.
So honestly, I'm happy to hear that you liked it because to me, I did not like Mythwind, but I also had the question of like people who like this genre of building things forever because I'm like more mixed on it. I liked it growing up, but I didn't like it quite as much as an adult.
For me, it was cooperative, it was relaxing, and it's very like town world building similar to something like Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing.
Which
Like
was
if
the
you
pitch.
pictured trying to make Animal Crossing a board game, like it is very passive, and you are just building up a town, and at the end you just have an awesome town that has things. So there wasn't really many threats or anything like that in it, but it was really beautiful, really well designed. It was very relaxing. I enjoyed it to be like a calm down, you know. Whereas like something like Dead of Winter, I'm like stressed the entire time.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that it has an audience.
Yeah.
For me, my topic of the week is based on the fact that right offside this camera, right outside the view, there's a giant box of Everdell, the complete collection, that is
Ugh, I
obnoxiously
can't wait for mine to come
large.
Mhm.
Obnoxiously large. Now, don't get me wrong.
I'm gonna sit in it.
I'm incredibly. You should. I'm
Okay.
incredibly happy to have it. I'm incredibly happy to have the box. I want it all. I love Everdell. Make no mistake. I'm happy to have all the trays and the bits and the pieces and these things I'm dropping and the stickers. But ultimately, the box is huge. And then this is following up on the fact that recently I got, what did I even get recently? Oh my gosh, what was the game I got? I hadn't known this. I got Roleplay Adventures recently. I have Oathsworn, oh dear lord. The 4 giant boxes of Oathsworn, and I'm like, and again, great game, happy to have it. But I feel more and more we're seeing just boxes that get to a point where they're like, you know that Calyx-like thing that at least we pretend to subscribe to as a thing? Screw that. We're just going to have
Yeah.
larger and larger boxes. And
I think the Chip Theory Trove is the best way to do it, shaped like that with drawers.
Yeah.
I also have a Sentinels of the Multiverse like giant black box that has drawers in it, and I think something like that where it's more square with drawers in it is just better.
But like these boxes are getting larger, and they're not fitting in Calyx cubbies, which means there's only so much space you have on top of a Calyx cubby. And I recognize not everyone goes with Calyx cubbies. I think that to me the goal of fitting a thing to a Calyx cubby isn't inherently about Calyx. It's about the combination of Calyx is adopted, and let's adopt a maximum size. Let's all pretend that we have a maximum box size.
I love how you've like, I've never heard someone say Kallax Cubby, and you've turned like a piece of furniture into what sounds like a mythical pet that people have. Like
Yeah,
I
lots
just
of
have a
mythical
whole, I have like a whole new litter of Kallax Cubbies, and I don't even know like what I'm gonna do with them. Like I put them up for sale on Facebook, and like it's just been ridiculous. Like 12 Kallax Cubbies, and like I need to get rid of them in the next 2 weeks because like I know that like, you know, the Kallax mummy's gonna have another litter
The
soon.
Calyx Mummy.
Yeah, exactly.
So Devin, in our Twitch channel, Alex's evil twin's name is Calyx. Alex and Calyx.
That's not
Alex
just
Kallax.
Yeah, it's from the darkest timeline.
Yes.
Anyways, but yeah, that's basically. I'm curious whether we'll see a drop or a decrease in this aspect of just boxes getting obnoxiously large. I don't love it when they have that way, but like I'll deal with it. And speaking of chip theory,
Is
sure.
box size your topic?
Yeah, box size.
We
So,
gotta do a Kickstarter
Alex,
with me.
what did you
We all share a
say?
topic, and then we do the Kickstarter in between, and then we go to the crowdfunding.
Wow, I've never
so
done
off.
this before.
You're
So,
so
like,
off.
Alex, what thing did you say
I didn't
that
realize this was a
precipitated
topic.
prototype question from Meg?
That was Meg's topic.
What was Meg's No, Meg, that was just a random question that she had.
No, she was going to
Wasn't
have a
it?
topic, and something I said, I don't
changed
know
my
what.
mind.
Something I said made her keep that topic for a
Oh.
future week instead,
Mhm.
and dive into this
Oh.
topic.
Mm-hmm,
Oh, okay. I was like, I thought you started a topic. Meg had a random question, and then you're like, so my
I-
topic is big boxes. I was like, wait, what did we just
I
talk
mentioned
about?
that
Guys, we've never done this before.
Encyclopedia, Unconscious Mind felt like Encyclopedia, which is one of the few prototypes I've kept playing.
Ugh, that's
Here we go.
crazy.
No, I
Trace
want
it
a
back
cat
to you?
named Calyx.
You can have a cat.
Okay, so wait, is it my topic now?
Yeah, you can dive into your topic by all means.
Oh, what was my topic?
What was
Yeah,
what was the TLDR of your topic? Boxes are too big.
Boxes are just, just boxes are too big.
Too much content.
No,
you
no,
board
no.
game
Just
companies take that content out of
Speaking
it.
of the boxes
No,
are
just
too
adjust
big,
it.
like the thing that bothers me even more than boxes that are just way too large is like what Richard said. Like apparently the Mosaic box is a
Yeah.
centimeter too large to fit in.
Yes, the Mosaic's another one. That's the thing. I mean, as for me specifically, I forgot about the Mosaic one. Thank you, Richard. But I've had a bunch of boxes recently arrive that were all too large to fit into my typical Calyx cubby, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess something's going to be rearranged. And it's Everdell, Oathsworn, and Mosaic are the recent ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah. No,
Yeah.
so the ones I have up there are Eclipse and Tidal Blades and Mex
Yeah.
vs. Minions. But I'm not entirely sure that they wouldn't fit. I just don't know if I have room for some of them.
For me, I have a bunch of those as well, and I have Eclipse and Mex vs. Minions
Yeah.
above my shelves as well. But for me, it's recently, like in the past month,
Yeah.
I've gotten 3 of them, and the tops on my shelves only have so much space.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like you have too many board games.
First world problems. So it's very, very clear. First world problems.
Too much content.
Yeah.
So my topic is if I remember, I thought I came up with a secondary one.
What was your first one?
Do you want me to do the other one?
No. Anyways, I'll just go with the original one because I can't remember what I was gonna say originally, or secondarily. Yeah, I'm killing it today, doing so well. Is the idea of rating? So the three of us, we are prepping to do top 100, and this is the first time I've ever done it, and I realized that I think there are pros and cons to rating, ranking, essentially like stats on games. And I think they're like very interesting benefits to it. And like, because Alex and I are just like we're very, very good friends. We have a lot of things that we enjoy chatting about, but we're also diametrically opposed in terms of how we process certain things. Like Alex is like a statistician, and he very much derives a lot of meaning from the data. And I am someone who, the more and more data I do, the more I'm like, I feel like I'm getting away from like the heart and soul of like what I actually give a crap about. And I feel like I'm getting like mired in the like in the minutia of the hobby. But I do think that like when I go about and do it, there are like, it is interesting to like see how my mindset has changed, because like I was looking at my top 100. And I will say this, I absolutely should have I love Streb's comment, sorry.
Devin,
You
we were
guys-
talking
you
about
guys
that on
can't-
stream last night.
Just remember, this is hypothetically a podcast at some point too. But
What did I say?
I don't think this one should be a podcast the way it started.
What did I say that was wrong?
No, I'm saying the pause as you look at a comment and laugh with no context.
I'm sorry.
So you're missing
I'm
even
sorry.
further context, Evan. Last night on stream, we had a whole long conversation about the fact that we're going to film you walking home. That's going to be how you join stream tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit in Alex's trunk, and he's gonna drive at like 5 miles an hour while I film you walking.
I'm totally okay with that.
Anyway,
I like the idea of walking after a plane flight. The idea of physically walking sounds really nice. Anyways, going back to what I was saying was 100%. I like Alex, your process to and the reason why I'm getting to this is because I've recently, as we are doing the top 100, I did work with Pub Meeple, and so like I used that engine, and I kind of hate it. And I should have done what Alex suggested, which is parse out a lot of the data prior and use Pub Meeple as like a micro batch data filter. And I just I went on my BGG collection, which I think was over 200. And I should have culled it before I just exported it in, because there were plenty on there that I either own and haven't played yet, or ones that I've played and soured on. And it was essentially, it would pop up to compare, and I was like, wait, I don't even want that one in my top 100 even at all. So I would delete it.
Forever.
Yeah, and it was it took so long to just do 200 titles that I was like, you know what? I was like, I think I could have done this faster if I had just physically done this by hand. And because I have enough of an idea of how I feel about a game versus other games, that it's just, I don't know. It's definitely, I see the value of it, Meg. I'll just talk to Meg because Alex is doing Alex stuff.
Alex decided
Alex
you're
doing Mike
not.
stuff.
Yeah, I agree. It's very daunting. I want to say I whittled mine down to 167, and I haven't started going through it yet. But
yeah,
I think part of maybe what you were saying too is, for me, experiences are so different and games are so different that it's
yes,
who's to say what's better than the other, depending on my mood.
Yeah. And that's to me where I was this is where it breaks down for me in terms of raw data, because I'm well, this is a game that I play at 2 players exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
How do I compare this to my favorite 7-player game? Or how do I compare I have because I like words and stuff like that, one of my games is Scrabble. I love Scrabble. I love playing Scrabble. I love playing that with friends and family and stuff. How do I compare Scrabble to Oathsworn? What's the context?
Have you played
to
So
look at them
Clover,
like?
Devin?
So party games I'm like less high on, but I have played So Clover. I do enjoy it. The thing about So Clover that I don't love is that you have to mind meld with people who like make completely different mental connections than you, and like I get that that's the point of the game, but like that's not why I like word and puzzle games. Like there used to be this game that was like a word game on the computer called Text Twist, and it would give you 6 letters at a time, and you could get as many points as you want in like it would, with each level it would give you a minute, and it would give you all of the word possibilities that you could get with those 6 letters. And then at the end of the minute, though, it didn't matter how many of them you got. You had to get at least one of the full 6-letter words that used all of the words, like all of the letters, to make it to the next level. And like I love doing like puzzles. That's why I enjoyed Wordle a lot. And then I eventually I had to get rid of Wordle and stop doing it because it was like I got Wordle, and then I got Quadrordle, and then I got Quordle, and I got Quordle, and then I got Fordordle, and then I got Fortydordle, and I was playing like 5 of them in a row, and I was like, this is just not a use of my time that is valuable during the day.
Yeah, and so apologies, chat, by the way. Chat definitely did tell me multiple times the audio was off. I just thought there was some issue with something. I couldn't figure it out, but I did have the wrong input, and I finally fixed it after I flicked on the mic in front of me and the audio didn't spike. I was like, there's a problem here. So I did fix that, and now people can actually hear us properly. Hopefully. Although Devin's probably still too loud. But anyways...
I love how Petrified is just calling you out.
Yeah, no, Petrified's right. Because Success was like, sorry I wasn't here a while ago. Petrified's like, we tried. And I'm like, Petrified, you did try.
We have been assisting as much as possible.
But to answer your question, Devin, about as far as the ranking things, I agree with you. You get some weird questions. You're like, do you like Codenames more than Gloomhaven? And I'm like...
Maybe?
Differently.
Right.
I usually try to go with my instinct to a degree. I try to go with the fact that what currently excites me more is the answer I go with. Because I love Codenames, but Gloomhaven excites me more. And so I try to go with that aspect, and it is instinctual. One of the reasons I love Pub Meeple, I find it's very hard to do that on my own, but Pub Meeple just keeps giving you those binary choices, assuming you actually, do it in buckets as opposed to trying to do your entire collection, whatever. But anyways, so I like the ranking process. I enjoy the aspect of thinking through what I prefer more than one thing or another. I also don't let it de-stress me. One thing I'm actually very curious about. Here's something I'm very curious about.
You don't let it de-stress you?
You don't let it de-stress you?
I don't let it stress me. It does sound like me that I would say I don't let it de-stress me.
You mean distress?
I don't let it stress me. But one thing that's actually made it very interesting is...
I think you meant distress, Meg.
One or the other.
I ranked all my 5s recently. In the process of doing my top 100, I ranked all my 5s to see how I feel with them. I'm actually about to do it again today without looking at what I just did. So I did it like a week and a half ago. And I'm going to do it again today, and I'm curious to see how different the final output is.
I love that you're rechecking your data and you're going to redo it just to make sure the data's accurate.
It's curiosity to see if Pub Meeple, if I do the same batch of games in Pub Meeple twice, how different is the outcome. I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because, like, at the end of the day, you can say a 5 is better than a 4. You can say a 4 is better than a 3. But can I predictably, reliably, and consistently say that 5.82 is better than the 5.81? And I don't know if I do. That's one of the reasons I actually try to have a 5-point scale and not have too much detail, is because I don't have to think about it that often. An unrelated... Oh, there we go. That hoodie's awesome, Meg, from Pet Successful.
Thanks! Our family plays games.
But yeah, that's basically that. Anything else on ranking, or should we move on?
I was just gonna say, like, with what you were saying, I think that when ranking, I try to keep in mind if I didn't have them in my collection, which would I purchase first? Or if I was getting rid of games, which one would I keep? As opposed to what do I want to play right now? And I think that helps a lot with, like, oh, I prefer this way or prefer that way. Like, if all of my games were gone and I was going to start replacing things, where would I start?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I try to use a bunch of different tools for that aspect. What would I rather play first? What would I rather excite first? But that also works. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Which brings us to Devin. What's your Kickstarter?
I got a Kickstarter, and I wanted to bring it up last week before it even existed in reality yet. But Alex was very mean to me, and he said, "Devin, I hate you. Why are you even on the live stream? Also, don't bring that up. No one wants to talk about it."
The actual question was, Devin's like, "Do we have to talk about active Kickstarters or any upcoming Kickstarters?" And I was like, "Devin, you can do whatever you want, but I'd recommend saving The Last of Us till next week." And he's like, "You don't know me. You don't know me."
I didn't even get to say it. So obviously, my Kickstarter is the collaboration between Themeborn, who do the Escape the Dark series with Escape the Dark Castle, Escape the Dark Sector, and their partnership with Naughty Dog and bringing to us The Last of Us Escape the Dark, which currently launched today or yesterday and is already over 4,000 backers, over $400,000 with 23 days to go. And this is so exciting to me because I think Escape the Dark Castle and Escape the Dark Sector are in this really like sweet spot for me because it's such an engrossing artistic style. Like it's very, monochromatic with the black and the white. I love the design of it. I love Themeborn's stylings and I love what they're doing. And I think the only thing that was missing from those two is like they've got a lot of like narrative flair. But the thing that was missing to me was maybe like more of a cohesive story, or something, a story that style was attached to, because those games play where you're flipping chapter cards and you kind of create your own story. But I think it's such a good choice for them to have partnered with Naughty Dog and Last of Us, because I think that the aesthetic and the world, like the gritty, gray, dark, grim world of The Last of Us is a perfect like combination to use with Themeborn's like the way that they design and what they're doing. And then also to me it elevates the only thing that I was wanting, which was maybe more of like not an emergent story through the cards, but like an existing world that is already there that you just get to explore. And so I'm super excited about this Kickstarter. I hope as many people back it as possible. I am a massive Naughty Dog fan. So like I sold my Xbox a few months ago, but I still have my Uncharted 4 Sic Parvis Magna, like collector's edition PS4 over there. And I love PlayStation games, and my favorite studio is Naughty Dog. I absolutely love them. They always hit it out of the park for me. And one of my favorite series is The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. And if you're on the stream and you disliked The Last of Us Part 2 because it made you feel uncomfortable as a human while playing the game, you're objectively like wrong about not liking it. And it's an amazing game, and you're supposed to feel that way for a reason. So come fight me, come at me in the comments.
Come at me, bro.
And Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2 are amazing.
To address a few comments in chat, first of all, Devin is still not allowed to back anything, for those wondering. Devin's on a can't back or buy anything for a year, and that applies right now. Secondly, I have I
do have a 16-hour live stream that I have to schedule at some point because I backed Dune War for Arrakis.
Yeah, absolutely. You owe me that. Chocobo Sam commented, the game doesn't look thematic at all, and I actually agree with him. I found it fascinating. Devin, you mentioned you love the styling of Themeborn and their games.
It's Chocobo.
Chocobo.
Well, we're talking video games. Chocobo.
Good to know. But I in general, I'm always happy when I hear someone enjoy something that I didn't, because I like that variety of tastes and opinions. But I've generally found Themeborn's games to not pull me in at all. I found the black and white aesthetic to be really just not invest me in the game, and it's a theme. It's an aesthetic that will appeal to some and not others. For me, it definitely pushes me away from their other games as well as from The Last of Us. But obviously, it has an audience. It's doing $400,000 on Kickstarter. Devin's not one of those people, but would like to be one of those people. But yeah.
Devin's not one of those people. Rub it in.
Yes, exactly. But that's going to be our Kickstarter, which means we move on to the...
I was just going to say...
Meg got the name right. Meg got the name right.
Yeah, do you know what a chocobo is?
No, not at all.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute. You ride them in Final Fantasy.
I've never played Final Fantasy.
For The Last of Us, something like that as well. I am a video gamer, but I don't play like anything scary or horror-y. That's very hard for me, but that's something I can really visit in board games. So to see like an IP that I've really always been interested in a game I've always wanted to play that's more accessible for me because I'm not as afraid of it, I appreciate that. That's all.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm happy about it.
For the topic of the week. The topic of the week this week is actually last week's follow-up. This is normally the Patreon sponsor topic of the week. No link to my Patreon down below. Feel free to do all that stuff. Most of the money goes to Devin and Meg at this point. But anyways, past that, it's the Patreon sponsored topic of the week, which is not currently Patreon sponsored this week, is from last week's live stream where we talked about, someone asked at the end, I believe it's Srebny actually.
I was going to say, I believe it was a patron.
Oh, Ooh, that would count then. Awesome.
It is.
It's Patreon sponsored. What is a euro? What is the conversation around what's a euro? And there's a few ways this conversation can go, but I figure we'll start it off with, Devin, what do you consider to be attributes of a euro game?
Oh, okay. So I have thought about this long and hard.
Meg, what do you consider to be attributes of a Euro game?
Well, I think I should start because
I actually have.
It did not sound like it.
well, I think I should only because I truly don't know. Like, that's something that you and I have had a private
Okay.
discussion about, that I know there are certain aspects of, I know things that are definitely not Euros, and I know some characteristics of a Euro, but at the end of the stream last week, you brought up Ticket to Ride, and
Yeah.
usually I think of Euros as heavier, but as someone who's, like, pretty noob in the space, I don't know if I could give you a definition.
So this is actually very helpful to the conversation because to me,
No,
Hey,
you're literally
hey,
paying
hey.
me and
You
Meg to
literally
shut you
pitched it
up
to
every
him,
now
you
and then.
can't-
so this
Yeah,
leads
you
to the conversation
literally
because of the
hired
fact
us to shut you up.
if you look up at what a Euro is on Board Game Geek, it doesn't have a specific definition. It has, here are like 17 attributes that are common in Euros, and they are different in different ways, which is why I actually think this is a very interesting conversation because it's not so clear. Like you mentioned, Ticket to Ride being a Euro, and you mentioned the fact you think of Euros as being heavier. One of the attributes, one of the definitions of a Euro is something that tries to optimize a lot of decision making into as few things as possible. Which you could argue, considering the mechanics and components and rules of Ticket to Ride, it still hits the definition of Euro.
Right, like once you said it, I was like, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. I think it's much easier for me to say what isn't a Euro than what is.
Go ahead, Devin. Hit us with your
Sure.
knowledge.
Teacher. Here's my definition that I came up with. And
Sure.
it actually has it has nothing to do with the different mechanics that are frequently appearing in Euro games versus other games. So, my definition of a Euro is a game in which the core conceit is to beat or master the game. And it is not to it is not to beat or master the other players. It is to beat the game. And the analogy that I kind of like came up with is the idea that like say a different game would be like a basketball game. If you're playing a typical basketball game, you're playing against a team of players. Basketball is the accepted rules that everyone's playing, but whether you win or lose is dependent on the other people that you are opposing. Versus, say you have like a fair or like a circus or an arcade game where it's
Or like golf?
a still basketball, but it's the one where you're shooting it in to get a high score. But what if you were playing that game at the same time as other people, and you're shooting and you're trying to get it in the basket, but also other people are trying to do the same thing at the same time. So their balls might knock yours out of the basket. They might come in right before yours. They might get more in than you. At the same time, they might beat your score while you're playing the same game. But the purpose of the game is to beat the game, is to get a
Devin?
high score. It's not to play against someone else.
Would you say your definition applies to brass?
One sec, I'm not done yet. So real quick, I'll answer the question in which my argument breaks down momentarily. And so to me, the example that I had was a video that you and I or that all three of us are going to be doing soon, which is Endless Winter versus Lost Ruins of Arnak versus Dune Imperium. I love Dune Imperium. It's the top of my list out of those three games. And that is because I naturally prefer games in which I'm opposing other people. Dune Imperium has some mechanics that are similar to Endless Winter and Lost Ruins of Arnak. But at the end of the day, Endless Winter and Lost Ruins of Arnak are games in which you're trying to beat the game. You are trying to maximize what you're doing. And yes, other people might get in the way, but it's much more of passive player interaction and active engagement with the game versus active engagement against other players and passive use of the game. And so to me, I like Dune Imperium because I like those kinds of games where the core, like the main opposition is not how well you play the game, it's how well you play against the other players. And I think Endless Winter and Lost Ruins of Arnak are more closely hewing to the classic, more Euro definition or style because you're playing against the game. And
Brass.
So that's kind of like my. So you're saying, does that work against Brass?
Do you think that in Brass you're playing to beat the game? Do you get the feeling that you're trying to beat the game, or do you get the feeling that you're trying to beat the other player?
I did love,
Brass?
as I was saying my thing, you were looking around your collection and you're like, where's my thing that breaks down his argument?
That's all I was doing. It took a while.
Brass to me.
We also have Successful, by the way. Successful is also in the chat, pointing out that Too Many Bones might fit your definition of a Euro, while possibly not being a Euro.
No, I definitely and based off the idea that there are games that are in this like this middle space. Like there are games that will break down this argument, but also I don't think that they're necessarily breaking down the argument. They just like are straddling a midpoint in the spectrum of what I'm talking about. Like I think
that the comms. I do like your definition, by the way. I think it's a great definition. I think it's very solid.
I like the analogy.
I also think the point I make is why BGG has this as Euros contain these 15 things, and not all of them contain it, and not all of them do and don't contain it. They're just like a general overlapping of things. Mm-hmm. And those things do vary. They talk about things like, they talk about literally, having a designer's name on the cover is one of those things. That's something that is more Eurocentric, having designer's name, like the way you sell books with designer's name, you have that with Euros. Having things like wooden cubes as components over miniatures, having low luck and high strategy, having low player interaction. There's a bunch of these attributes that are given to Euros that are not locked into definitions. It's also why you have these hybrid categories. You have Ameritrash games that are these whole genre of games called hybrids, where you have games like Cyclades and Kemet and Blood Rage, which have a lot of Euro deterministic, because a big part of it is deterministic. Low luck and deterministic stuff is a big deal. Rolling fewer dice. Like one person in the chat mentioned, like, oh, is Gloomhaven a Euro then? Yes, many people do consider Gloomhaven to be a Euro. Because
I would consider it more of a Euro than other stuff.
Yeah, compared to Dungeon Crawlers where you're rolling hordes of dice, there's a lot of deterministic aspects going on in Gloomhaven as you try to master the card play and master how you combine this with that in an action economy game. Sure, there's luck, there's unknown, but it's lower luck and lower unknown than most Dungeon Crawlers, and a lot of determinism going on. And so you often will have hybrid categories like Gloomhaven, like Too Many Bones, like many of these games that have aspects of Euro with aspects of Ameritrash. I think a game like Brass fits far more definitions of a Euro, and possibly doesn't feel like that one thing you said. I think I think definition is great. I think it applies to a lot of the games I think of as Euros, but not necessarily everything. In Ticket to Ride, I do feel like I'm trying to beat the other players, and I do think Ticket to Ride is a Euro. In my personal definition, in my head, the way I think about a game, I think of it as being a Euro. Ultimately, I think it is a hard conversation. It just involves this fun little game where you pick a game and you point to a person and you say, what do you think? So, for instance, Devin, looking at my collection off the shelf and trying to think of games that you have played, would you consider Vindication a Euro?
No. The reason why I came up with the definition I did and why I like to stick with the spectrum is because I don't really love the hard stop commentary of something as a Euro or as Ameritrash. I really do think it's a spectrum of where things go towards more. But I think honestly, with you and the last time you and I chatted about Vindication when I got to play it with you guys up in Cleveland, I think I said that it feels like a Ameritrash game that is constrained by Euro mechanics. To me, it does sit in this middle point, because there was another game that we were talking about.
I would debate that is guided by Euro mechanics, because I don't think Vindication is constrained.
Sure, but to me Oh, no. I know exactly what it was. We were talking about Vindication and Dwellings of Eldervale. And I think we discussed them as two opposite things. Where Vindication is a Ameritrash game guided by Euro principles, and Dwellings of Eldervale was a Euro game guided by Ameritrash principles. They were actually different games that were being led by the opposite element in some regards. So I think that was the conversation you and I had, is that those are both games that have the similar thing, but just the inverse. So that would be my answer for Vindication, is its purpose, its direction is on the Ameritrash side or whatever. I wish there was a better term that actually, to me, mentally explained more than what that term doesn't say anything. But it has Euro guiding elements in it.
And Meg, would you consider Flamecraft a Euro?
I don't know. I feel like after all of this, like, I agree with a lot of the things you guys are saying. I still don't know if I feel like I, in my soul, have like a definition of what I would consider a Euro.
Yeah, because I don't think it's
I would say
definition.
no because I've only played Flamecraft once, but I think with the player interaction in that one and trying to like screw the other people over and taking spots and stuff, to me, when I was trying to think of what I thought as a Euro, it's a lot of times you'll hear like heads down or heads up gaming, where you're heads
Yes.
up looking around trying to fight other people, or heads down and like focusing on your own engine and your own thing. And
Yeah.
Flamecraft, I very much was looking at everybody else and watching what they were doing and not really so much looking at my own engine. So I would say no. But I still don't feel like I super am qualified to answer that
I mean, I
question.
don't think there's a qualification answer here. I think it's the whole point, because I agree with you on heads down
Yeah.
versus heads up. That goes to part of what Devin was saying as well. But it also does fit some of the. I mean, I'm specifically picking games when I ask you and Devin. I'm specifically picking games that I think do have a degree
They
of
read the line.
of question mark.
Yeah.
Like, because thematically, I think of Flamecraft as a fun, cutesy party game, interaction, taking people's spots. But when I look at the components of it, I also see many elements that do feel Euro. It very much is about resource management. It's very much about the point scoring. It's very deterministic. It's got worker placement, which is a very Euro mechanic. So it has a lot of things that fit the bill. It's but Euros as well are often known to be themeless, and Flamecraft's all about the theme and the dragons and the this and the that, and I think Flamecraft both doesn't feel like a Euro, while to me hitting certain definitions of a Euro that make me think it might be. But again, that's the nature of this conversation. It is not a simple answer. It's not like, oh, a Euro has 4 cubes and it has victory points and has no. Euros have aspects of different things, and then the question you have to ask yourself is, at what point does it hit enough of those aspects that it is or isn't? And with anything in life that's complicated, sometimes there's not an answer. Worker placement has a strict definition of what it is.
Right.
A Euro is a blend of different things that adds to a degree of categorization that can be helpful. If I know that I enjoy Euro games, I would want other Euro games. I think categories do help. I think that kind of context is useful in conversation. But also I think that we shouldn't be too constrained by the conversation, because does it really matter at the end of the day?
Right.
It maybe.
To your point, though, about it not necessarily mattering, I think another issue is that games, to me, have evolved past these somewhat like stifling definitions.
Right.
Is like, go back 20 years or something like that, or maybe even less, and you get games like where you have, the reason why Euro and Ameritrash even existed is because you just have like completely opposed styles of gaming. You'll have something like Risk, where it's literally just, you're rolling the dice, you hope you get the numbers, you take over you have these games that are deemed Ameritrash. And then you have like classic German or European Euro style games. And like, to me, the reason why descriptors like hybrid have like propagated in recent years is because the evolution of game design has intentionally and gradually and irrevocably pushed away from being so basically defined by those two elements. Like it is no longer two separate camps. It is like an interconnected landscape of design. And there are elements of Euros. There are elements of Ameritrash. There are places that feel like they sit in the middle, because classic Euros still exist, but also people that design it and publishers, they know that if it's ugly as crap, less people are going to buy it. And so you have games like Flamecraft that have like exquisite production value, gorgeous art, but maybe they have mechanics that still match what 20 years ago would have only been considered a Euro game, but it's got other elements that were usually associated with the other camp. Like, I think we're getting further and further away from like what is a Euro anymore, or what is an Ameritrash game, because there's such a blending of all of the elements that make a game.
Stop trying to define me.
but like all the elements, like Ameritrash has proponents and has fans because there are valuable and exciting things about it, and so do Euros. And people and designers and publishers are learning now, why not have the best in both camps and then make a game? Like, that just makes more sense. And so like I don't know, I feel like those two like those two like segregated camps don't make sense anymore in terms of like the language of describing games now.
Honestly, I love this conclusion because this very much feels like a Board Game Co. kind of show. 15 minutes asking a question and not coming to any reasonable answer or any new information. Yeah, I love it.
I completely agree, though. Like, 10 years ago, games were in such buckets. And I think why I don't really know Euros as well is that I didn't really
Now
play
they're in
Euros.
Calyxes.
Now they're in a Calyx.
Calyx Cubbies.
I started with a lot of co-op and a lot of Ameritrash. That was, like, the two things that were my jam. So, Euros, I didn't really start playing until I became, like, more of a, I don't know, heavier... Not
Don't
heavier
you
gamer,
dare
but
say more of a
often
gamer or anything. Don't pull that. Don't
more
you
of a
dare.
board gamer. There was a whole
what
world
is
that I
a
never
gamer?
saw.
What is a gamer?
I don't know, I'm just
Okay,
a fake
that's
geek
nice.
girl.
Is that for next week?
Next
What
week,
is a
that's next week.
gamer?
Yeah.
So imagine
Um,
you're playing basketball. Like, so what
Oh
I'm
dear
thinking
lord, no. Oh
is,
dear lord. Meg, you were saying?
Crocodile. And I think, Devin, something that I constantly think about with what you were saying, with what games used to be, because I was playing board games, like, up to, 12 years ago, and they've really changed and evolved, and sometimes, like, games will still surprise me and blow my mind. Something like The Adventures of Robin Hood blew my mind when I played it. So, this is just a tangent, but thinking about that, I think a lot about what games will be like 10 years from now, and what they'll work like, and what mechanics will be together, and new things that we can't even fathom right now. I'm really excited for seeing the trajectory, like what games are gonna become.
yeah, I think my like prediction for that is that instead of having like these adjacent hobbies, we are going to have like just like the walls between Euro and Ameritrash has been breaking down. I think that like games in general are going to be like board games and RPGs and video games are going to be like slowly like breaking down kind of the barriers between those. I mean, to me, you have that as an example right now with stuff like Destiny's, stuff like, you know, Oathsworn, like any game, Descent, you know, the new one that came out, like in those, the filtering in of like apps and how like digital technology is improving stuff or improving or changing stuff. And I think like that's going to be breaking down. And then the fact that you have like esteemed, highly respected content creators who include RPGs on their top list of favorite board games, like that kind of stuff is going to really bring in, you know, like RPG
Whole new age of gaming.
So, I don't know.
Successful saying in the chat, have any co-op games ever been considered a true Euro? I think Pandemic at the baseline would very much be considered a Euro. I'm pretty sure. Like I can't see a way it wouldn't be considered a Euro. Yeah.
I've always thought as Pandemic is like pretty similar to just football, and really just, you know, football with a bunch of like people who are like, I want to play football, and then the one quarterback's like, I can do it better than all of you, and then they just play the game of football for everybody.
It kind of feels like you're not very good at football.
Is that how football works? Sports?
That's how Pandemic works. Oh, hi, I'm going to sit down and teach you Pandemic. Oh, you've never played before. So what your role, you should probably do this. Okay, gotcha. All right, well, your next turn, you should probably do this.
Anyways, with that, I think esteemed content creator is an oxymoron. Successful. That's very successful. Anyways, with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the weekly live. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around with us over here. It's definitely been a bit of a chaos stream starting off as we figured out the tech issues and all that stuff. But anyways, we will be back.
One-sided tech issues. I'm perfect.
Let's absolutely say that.
Perfect.
Devin, you're only perfect because I lowered your volume.
I'm going to be
Anyways,
walking home from the airport.
we'll be back next week. Again, I say we as a relative term. There will be a weekly live next week. It may just be Meg and Devin. We'll see. I'm not quite certain yet, but
You're not
guessing.
allowed.
I'm guessing it's going to be just
only
Meg and
stream.
Devin. What time is it when we do a live stream? I'll be like 8 o'clock at night. Is what I got, right?
I don't know.
I might be on the weekly live stream next week. I might not. We'll have to find out. I'll be in
I
Poland
think
at some
6
point.
o'clock. Oh, you'll be in Poland then?
I'll be in Poland at night. It's gonna be like it's gonna be like 6 o'clock or something like that. Yeah, 6 o'clock
Or
is.
7?
It's like 6 hours ahead, so 10 o'clock's like 4 o'clock. It's gonna be 4 o'clock at the.
Wow.
So I will probably not be in the weekly live stream.
It's like going to be like 6 o'clock, like 7. It's going to be like 4 o'clock.
4.
It's, gonna
It's 6 hours ahead.
It's going to be
It's-
one of the hours between 3 p.m. and 10 p.m.
But just so anyone watching knows, it will be at 10 a.m. Eastern.
10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, being run by Meg and Devin, possibly me showing up, but less likely. But that's going to be the weekly live. The format is going to be exactly the same as it was this week, which is to say chaos, absolute chaos. And we'll continue to see you every single week here on Board Game Co. and with Meg and Devin in the morning, and maybe Alex. That's next week's
Maybe
show.
Alex.
In any case, and until next time, I appreciate all of you being here. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned later today for I believe I'm doing a mind management solo play over on the channel. And until next time.
Welcome back to
I thought you were gonna say we're camp co-oping
Talks
tonight.
Tabletop.
And we're camp co-oping over on Twitch
We'll be
tonight. You can
doing
check that out as
board
well if you want
games.
more of the Chaos stream.
Board
Yeah, for either
games
more
with
Hoplomachus
Devin.
or roleplayer adventures, unsure which.
We're doing all of those things. Meg
Bye.
and Devin in the morning.
In the morning.
And maybe